I am Opal Palmer Adisa, and this piece is called What Colonization Is, or rather, What Colonization Was Not, or just colonization. Since 1965, actually before, I have been carrying this fire in my stomach, the fire called capture, the fire called entrapped, the fire that said I will be owned by someone else, even though I was my own person. Since 1665, or even before, when Jamaica was ex-Mica, when the Arawaks and the Taino lived here, before the Spaniards who will be defeated by the English, the fire was growing in my stomach. And the fire is still alive in my stomach. And I'm trying to contain it, trying to soothe it, trying to heal my scars, heal my stomach from the trauma of what we now call colonialism. Colonialism, where does this word begin? How does it articulate the history and plight and suffering and redemption of my people? Colonialism, where does it come from? I am not a slave. I am a human being. I am not a slave. I am a woman. I am not a slave. I am a runaway. Some of my ancestors were runaways turned maroon. I am not a slave. I was captured, sometimes conspiratorially by one of my own, but I am not a slave. And I stand here, holding my stomach, trying to safeguard it. I have known this thing, this lash, this beating, this brutal force, this degenerative self, this raping of my body, this silencing of my voice, this wide-scale theft of my people and my connection to this thing that is a welt on my back, this thing, colonialism, still alive in my stomach. And as much as I press down, as much I try to detox from the pain, as much as I try to render it free from my body, it has become who I am since before 1665. Do you know the memory of 1665? Do you know the history? Do you know the sound? Do you know the cries and tears that fills the sea? 1665. These lands that were ex-Mica, land of wood and water, these lands that were peopled by the Tainos and the Arawaks before my people were brought here. And some had the good sense and strength to run away into the hills and are now known as Maroon. And some of those communities still exist today, evidence of our refusals to be slaves, our refusal to be slaves, our refusal to forget our names, our refusal to abandon our ancestry and the land from which we came, a land rich with gold and cobalt that still today is colonized because it feeds our cell phones, and we do not even know that the Congo is the main source of cobalt that is part of the main ingredients for all our cell phones, so we're still colonized, me and my people, whether in Jamaica or the Cameroons, the Congos, Nigeria, Ghana, we are still colonized because we do not own our resources. Our resources do not benefit our country, do not educate our people, do not provide hospitals and schools. But I was never, hear me, I was never their slave. Even though they captured and bound me and hoarded me on their ships, I was never their slave, even though they raped me. and bred me to produce other slaves. I was never their slaves, and that is why I am here today. This fire that has so many hundreds of years lived in my stomach gave me resistance, gave me the hedge, kept me alive, kept blazing, so I never forget my name. Call me Nanny, call me Nzinga, call me warrior, call me woman. I am all those things, the spirit of my ancestors, my female ancestors who refused to lie down and die, who did not let the blood that dripped between our legs that could turn into a child, another human being to be enslaved. We did not let such a precious life be born. We refused to produce our offsprings for their wealth, their wealth, their wealth. It was about money and greed. Their wealth, their wealth, their wealth. It was about money and greed. It was a disregard for those of us who have and continue to give so much. Colonialism, colonialism. That word, what does it mean? I am that woman. I am the resistor who knew, though I had to replenish myself because I had to live long enough to set this history safe, to set this history straight. So when we talk of reparation, it is not far and distant, something to forget and get over. It lives in my stomach where the fire has been burning since before 1665 and before and before and before, when I went to the river to wash and bathe and was captured, bounded, and led through many forests until I came to the doorway of the sea. I was shoved like my brothers and sisters on a boat, and 4 months or 6 months or 8 months or 9 months or 12 months later, after enduring days and weeks and months in darkness and the moaning of the sea and the mingling of puke and shit and wretchedness, piss and tears, that is now indelible part of my history that will forever live with me, the memory of the sea, the door of no return. Forget mama, forget papa, forget sister, forget friend, forget lover. The sea of no return, the door of no return. But before then, I remember I was daughter, woman and queen. I was a smelter, I was a weaver, I was a recorder, I was a grower of things, a woman admired and courted, and I was a griot. I was a griot, reciting the history of my lineage that was splendid and meaningful way before Europeans who lacked power and resources traveled to the shores of my ancestor and found that I was there. I was the black gold they sought, and they smelted and smelted me, siphoning my siblings, my mother, my father, my cousin, my friend, the elders, and then until there was almost nothing left. The fire crackles inside my stomach when we talk of colonialism, a word made clean, legitimate, institutionalized, sanitized, a word that does not begin to reveal and uncover the level of degradation and deprivation and spillage still tattooed on my skin, on my brain, on my memory of all the tragedy and holocaust done to me and mine. So this fire in my stomach might be dormant, but at any time there is enough ash and amber for it to rage again. So beware, beware when you court this thing that you call colonialism. Remember and take heed that this fire is still alive in my stomach.